What's up, cool people? My name's Matt, aka That Random Christian Gamer. Welcome to tonight's live stream. So, we are continuing our Bible study this evening. We find ourselves in the middle, roughly, of Nehemiah. So, going to be reading a couple of chapters from there. All about, how things went for God's people after they returned to their homes after being exiled. And I won't go too much beyond that because then we get too many afters in the situation. So I'll be real, I didn't quite solidly land on a specific game that I wanted to play today. So, we'll call it viewer's choice, kind of. I'm not gonna leave it out there for, literally any game that exists to be chosen, but among a few that I was considering playing, I might, either do a poll or ask for some feedback or input or whatever. But yeah, roughly an hour of Bible study, then roughly an hour of just hanging out while I play a game. A video game, so we're clear. And yeah, that's kind of the general gist of what's going on. Seth, hello. Hope you're doing well. Man, it's a totally tangent kind of note, but it has been really cold around here lately in this area, and I think it has affected my skin, or maybe the combination of that and just the fact that I, end up washing my hands so many times while I'm at work. It, especially the backs of my hands end up, they've been really dry and kind of to the point of, the skin cracking slightly the past couple of days. So I might have to put in a little extra effort to, moisturize them more than I have been. But, anywho, there's another random little bit of something to get a peek into how I've been doing lately. But aside from that, things have not really been terrible. Anyway, let me not delay this any longer. I am still trying to think through, though, if I want to decide the game that I play by just sheer randomness, or if I want to put it up to, a viewer poll sort of thing. I wonder how long I could run a poll for, or something like that. Because if I could run that long enough, I would maybe just do the first chapter of Bible study to be like, alright, how should I decide my game? And then once that's figured out, if, we're going to viewer's choice, it's like, okay, here's 2 options for games. Which one do you want me to play? Up to 10 minutes. Okay, so it would not be an entire chapter, but still, probably better to start doing that early on. And I gotta remind myself how to even make a poll on Twitch here. I'm thinking if I do that, yeah. Yeah. And then I just type in the options that I want to put in the poll. All right. Or do I probably need to put the... Yeah, okay. / poll. Yeah, I gotta hit enter on that first and then... Okay. There we go. Alright. Okay. And ads are playing on Twitch now. It gives me a little time to finish up the poll anyway, and then we can hop into the Bible study. I don't know for sure if the poll is only going to appear on Twitch or if it'll at least show in my chat window there for YouTube people to also see. And I don't know. Duration, 10 minutes. Okay. Ads are almost done. I'll go ahead and start the poll now, I guess. Yep, looks like that is just showing up on Twitch. Well, for those of you on YouTube, I'll just type it into the chat. I just realized I'm doing a thing that makes part of this window look weird because the way that I've got the chat set up. Anyway. And now everybody can see the question at hand. Anyway, okay. Let me go ahead and set us up for a Bible study here and hop into that. Yeah, okay. Everything looks good there. Alright, so we got to Nehemiah chapter 10 now. Let me make sure the music is down low enough for my liking. So basically the context I would think you need to know at this point boils down to, you know, God's people got conquered and exiled from their homeland, but then they were allowed to go back and rebuild, because, like, the capital city of where they lived before was utterly destroyed. So they've gone back, they've rebuilt the wall around the city of Jerusalem, and possibly also rebuilt the temple. In fact, I think it mentioned in an earlier chapter, somebody tried to convince Nehemiah to, like, hide inside the temple because they falsely told him that he was going to be attacked that night or something. Anyway, so let's assume both the wall and the temple have been rebuilt in Jerusalem. The people then had Ezra read out the law of Moses, and kind of in the midst of that, they celebrated this one festival, continued hearing about the Mosaic Law throughout the festival, and then, I guess after that was all done, kind of had this whole, like, big confessions / rededication to where they're committing themselves to follow God once again. Now, I will actually, even though we're focusing on chapter 10, I'm going to read the last verse in chapter 9 because it also gives something really important to know for chapter 10. So, that verse says, after all the confession and then verbally kind of recommitting themselves to follow God, it says, the people responded, "In view of all this, we are making a solemn promise and putting it in writing. On this sealed document are the names of our leaders and Levites and priests." So then in chapter 10, that continues. The document was ratified and sealed with the following names: the governor, Nehemiah, son of Hakaliah, and also Zedekiah. The following priests: Seraiah, Azariah, Jeremiah, Pashur, Amariah, lots of names, Malchijah, Hattush, Shebaniah, Maluk, Harim, Meremoth, Obadiah, Daniel, Ginnethon, Baruch, Meshullam, Abijah, Mijamin, Maziah, or Maziah, anyway, Maaziah maybe, because there's two A's there. Anyway, Bilgai, and Shemaiah. And these were the priests. Levites: Jeshua, son of Azaniah, Binui from the family of Henadad, Kadmiel, and their fellow Levites, Shebaniah, Hodiah, Kelita, Pelaiah, Hanan, Micah, Rehob, Hashabiah, Zachar, Sherebiah, Shebaniah, Hodiah, Benai, and Beninu. I'm just going to get through all these names, and then I'll pause for a little bit. And the following other leaders, I guess: Parosh, Pahath Moab, Elam, Zatsu, Bunai, Asgad, Bibai, Adonijah, Bigvai, Aden, Ater, Hezekiah, Azur, Hodiah, Hashum, Bezai, Harif, Anathoth, Nibai, Magpiash, Meshullam, Hezer, Meshezabel, Zadok, Jadua, Pelatiah, Hanan, Anaiah, I guess, Hoshea, Hananiah, Hashub, Halohesh, Pilha, Shobek, Rehum, Hashabna, something like that, Masiah, Ahiah, Hanan, Anan, Maluk, Harim, and Benna. Okay. Good grief. Done with the big list of names there. So, yeah, the document that essentially they were making as evidence of their renewed commitment to follow God. It's like, all right, here's every leader of any type that was involved in this commitment. And that's really kind of all that there is going on with that. There's a note here mentioning that in the Hebrew text, verses 1 to 39 here are numbered 2 to 40 because the last verse from chapter 9 was actually the first verse of chapter 10 in the Hebrew text, which honestly, I feel like including that at the start of the next chapter would have made more sense. I mean, it's not an ideal transition point either way, because if you leave it here in chapter 9, then all of this, where they're saying in view of all this, is a little bit easier to see and know because you just read what all of this is. But then it mentions the sealed document, which isn't fully explained until the next chapter. Meanwhile, if, you included that verse at the start of chapter 10, it would fit better with the other information about the document, but it would also be a bit further separated from, again, all of this. That was their reason for making the document in the first place. But, either way, as long as you look at that, as long as you look at both parts for context, I suppose it's not like a super big deal where it is in relation to each chapter. Okay. I think I'll just move along to verse 28 here. Then the rest of the people, the priests, Levites, gatekeepers, singers, temple servants, and all who had separated themselves from the pagan people of the land in order to obey the law of God, together with their wives, sons, daughters, and all who were old enough to understand, joined their leaders and bound themselves with an oath. They swore a curse on themselves if they failed to obey the law of God, as issued by his servant Moses. They solemnly promised to carefully follow all the commands, regulations, and decrees of the Lord our God. Notice it says our. This is kind of written from Nehemiah's perspective, so he's including himself in this. Thus, it's, our inclusive of the writer rather than their. So, yeah. I mean, that was kind of the whole point of making the document, and they also, I guess, rather than just have the documents, because, reading and writing weren't super common abilities of people back then, they also kind of verbally committed to it. Plus, then there's an extra layer of commitment there. So, they are committing themselves to obey God's laws. And then I guess in the midst of making this oath, they say this stuff starting in verse 30. We promise not to let our daughters marry the pagan people of the land, and not to let our sons marry their daughters. We also promise that if the people of the land should bring any merchandise or grain to be sold on the Sabbath or on any other holy day, we will refuse to buy it. Every 7th year we will let our land rest, and we will cancel all debts owed to us. In addition, we promise to obey the command to pay the annual temple tax of 1/8 of an ounce of silver for the care of the temple of our God. This will provide for the bread of the presence, for the regular grain offerings and burnt offerings, for the offerings on the Sabbaths, the new moon celebrations, and the annual festivals, for the holy offerings, and for the sin offerings to make atonement for Israel. It will provide for everything necessary for the work of the temple of our God. We have cast sacred lots to determine when, at regular times each year, the families of the priests, Levites, and the common people should bring wood to God's temple to be burned on the altar of the Lord our God, as is written in the law. We promise to bring the first part of every harvest to the Lord's temple year after year, whether it be a crop from the soil or from our fruit trees. We agree to give God our oldest sons and the firstborn of all our herds and flocks, as prescribed in the law. We will present them to the priests who minister in the temple of God, of our God. We will store the produce in the storerooms of the temple of our God. We will bring the best of our flour and other grain offerings, the best of our fruit, and the best of our new wine and olive oil. And we promise to bring to the Levites a tenth of everything our land produces, for it is the Levites who collect the tithes in all our rural towns. I might as well go to the end of the chapter. Close enough anyway. A priest, a descendant of Aaron, will be with the Levites as they receive these tithes. And a tenth of all that is collected as tithes will be delivered by the Levites to the temple of our God and placed in the storerooms. The people and the Levites must bring these offerings of grain, new wine, and olive oil to the storerooms and place them in the sacred containers near the ministering priests, the gatekeepers, and the singers. We promise together not to neglect the temple of our God. So, this all seems to be at least part of what they're committing themselves to. Because all of these things were, in fact, mentioned in the Mosaic Law as things that they should or shouldn't do, depending on, they should not have their children marry, people who had other beliefs. But they should do all this stuff with the tithing and bringing their offerings. I guess the temple tax isn't something that immediately comes to my mind when I think about, laws that Moses wrote, but I would not be surprised if it's in there and I'm just forgetting about it. Speaking of which, mentions an eighth of an ounce of silver. The Hebrew says the tax is 1/3 of a shekel, which probably would have weighed about 4 grams. Because, the value of their money, currency, it was usually silver or gold or something like that, just in a certain amount of weight. And even if they had specific coins or units of currency, they still mostly depended on the weight of those things to determine the overall value. And it's okay, well, it's silver at this much weight, so it's worth, X amount of other stuff. Okay, so, yeah, really, a lot of that was just ways that they're, committing themselves to following God's laws. And a lot of it had to do with providing for either the priests and Levites specifically or just for the temple. The annual tax mentioned was supposed to basically provide money, I would imagine, so then, all the supplies that would be needed for the temple could be purchased throughout the year. I also don't know if I remember previous mentions of, specific people bringing wood at various times. My guess is the way they would determine who's bringing it when. They mentioned casting sacred lots, and so it would probably be all right, among the tribes, which tribe will it be? And then maybe even specifically after that, it might be, all right, we've landed on this tribe, which clan among the tribes will provide this wood to be burned? Anyway, there was actually a lot of stuff that went into, running the temple, essentially. So, yeah, just a bunch of that stuff mentioned in these verses, that they have a plan for how they're going to handle it and provide all of that. There's not too much else going on with this, really. Honestly, the first, well, most of the first 27 verses is just a real quick list of names. Or it makes the verses go quick because it's just a list of names like that. And after that, the chapter's only like another, 12 verses? So, I guess in that way it's kind of short, is what I'm trying to get at. Anyway, I don't really have too many other thoughts. I don't know if this, if there's going to be more details to come regarding their renewed commitment and how they're going to, follow various commands or provide different things, but we'll just have to wait and see. That's all I got for chapter 10. Okay, real quick. I would think the poll that I did should be over by now. And all right. Well, it says the poll's ended. How do I see results? Were there any results? There might not have been any results. I mean, it doesn't seem like I have a ton of people viewing right now. Okay. Then maybe I will just go ahead and present a general question instead. And this time the question will be about which game to play. The main ones I'm considering are, between Slay the Spire and Hades. So maybe I'll just put it in the chat which one of those, or put a question in the chat which one of those people would like me to play. All right. Hades. Okay. And I think as long as I put it in one of the chats, it'll show up in, the multi-chat window there so everybody can see it. Okay. Back to the continuation of Bible study with the next chapter. After I get a little bit of water here. Okay. Here we go. Alrighty. We're looking at Nehemiah chapter 11. And last chapter was a bunch of stuff about the people of Israel, or God's people, kind of recommitting themselves to follow his laws. And this, of course, came after they had returned from exile, rebuilt the walls around Jerusalem and the temple, and heard the law from Ezra. They held the Festival of Shelters. And then came this whole, recommitment, rededication, whatever you want to call it, sort of thing. And there was a lot of stuff specifically about caring for the temple and, the people who served in it. So, there was mention at one point of, okay, yes, the wall's been rebuilt, but there's still, like, a lot of houses and stuff that are completely broken, rubble, whatever. It seemed like there was a bunch of other things that still kind of needed to be rebuilt for the people to fully get settled back in. But maybe that's kind of like going on in the background as this other stuff's happening now. But yeah, that's about all that's going on up to this point that you might want to know for context, or that I think would be pretty important to know for context. So I suppose at this point we'll then hop into Nehemiah chapter 11 here. The leaders of the people were living in Jerusalem, the holy city. A tenth of the people from the other towns of Judah and Benjamin were chosen by sacred lots to live there too, while the rest stayed where they were. And the people commended everyone who volunteered to resettle in Jerusalem. Here is a list of the names of the provincial officials who came to live in Jerusalem. Most of the people, priests, Levites, temple servants, and descendants of Solomon's servants, continued to live in their own homes in the various towns of Judah, but some of the people from Judah and Benjamin resettled in Jerusalem. Okay, it seems like it's kind of repeating itself a little bit there, but anyway. So, now this mentions officials, so maybe this wasn't everyone that settled there. I don't know. Anyway, list of names. People who came to live in Jerusalem. From the tribe of Judah, Athaiah, son of Uzziah, son of Zechariah, son of Amariah, son of Shephatiah, son of Mahalalel, of the family of Perez. Also Maaseiah, son of Baruch, son of Kolhose, son of Hazaiah, son of Adaiah, son of Joiarib, son of Zechariah, of the family of Shelah. There were 468 descendants of Perez who lived in Jerusalem, all outstanding men. Okay, so pausing there for a bit to say what seems to me to be going on with this list here. So it seems to me the names being called out are specifically, I mean, it does mention provincial officials. So these weren't just any old people. They were some type of leader who actually had, like, command over the people in some way. So it's mentioning their names and some of their lineage to connect them to, like, I guess, clans of the tribes mentioned. And then also after those names, it's, I mean, at least from the tribe of Judah, it gave a total of how many, in this case, descendants of Perez went to live in Jerusalem. You know, as decided by the methods stated previously here, which, yeah. Chosen by sacred lots. It just says a tenth of the people were from the other towns. Okay, the leaders were living in Jerusalem. Then a tenth of the people from the other towns were also chosen by sacred lots. Okay. So are these the people who were chosen by sacred lots, or just the leaders who were already living there? Now I'm not so sure of that. In any case, the people being mentioned in the list here seem like they were leaders of some sort. Whether they had already volunteered to live in Jerusalem or they were chosen by these lots, I suppose isn't a big deal, but either way, they were living in Jerusalem. Along with, it seems like it'll mention a number of people from the same clan that also ended up living in Jerusalem. Those might have been the, other people from the other towns that were chosen by sacred lots. Note there at Shelah. The Hebrew says, son of the Shilonite. So it would have been, in Maaseiah's lineage, it's mentioning son of Zechariah, son of the Shilonite is what it would say there, rather than son of Zechariah of the family of Shelah. But also, again, given ancient Hebrew, and, I could see Shelah and Shiloh being pretty similar, perhaps to the point of them being alternate spellings for each other. Anyway, it seems like at least down to verse 18, we're going to have more of this kind of list. But let's continue. Verse 7. From the tribe of Benjamin, Salu, son of Meshullam, son of Joed, son of Pedaiah, son of Kolaiah, son of Maaseiah, son of Ithael, son of Jeshaiah. After him were Gabai and Salai, and a total of 928 relatives. Their chief officer was Joel, son of Zikri, who was assisted by Judah, son of Hasenuah, second in command over the city. Right, so there were only really 2 tribes involved here. Anyway, from the priests, Jedaiah, son of Joiarib, Jachin, and Seraiah, son of Hilkiah, son of Meshullam, son of Zadok, son of Merioth, son of Ahitub, the supervisor of the temple of God. Also 822 of their associates who worked at the temple. Also, Adaiah, son of Jerahim, son of Pelaliah, son of Amzai, son of Zechariah, son of Pashur, son of Malchijah, along with 242 of his associates who were heads of their families. Also, Amashsai, son of Azarel, son of Azai, son of Meshillemoth, son of Immer, and 128 of his outstanding associates. Their chief officer was Zabdiel, son of Haggedolim. I guess I'll also do the Levites here too. From the Levites, Shemaiah, son of Hashub, son of Azrikam, son of Hashabiah, son of Bunai. Also Shabbathai and Jozabad, who were in charge of the work outside the temple of God. Also Mattaniah, son of Micah, son of Zabdai, a descendant of Asaph, who led in thanksgiving and prayer. Also Bakbakiah, who was Mattaniah's assistant, and Abda, son of Shemuah, son of Galal, son of Jeduthun. In all, there were 284 Levites in the holy city. Okay. Lots of names again. Don't know if I've got too much to say about all that. It's, again, just continuing to list names of officials and then maybe numbers of total people from the different tribes and groups of people. Now, it mentions the tribes of Judah and Benjamin. They were the ones who had lived in the southern split kingdom after there was that whole fiasco. Real quick, for those of you who didn't know, God's people, after moving into the Promised Land, established their own kingdom, but then after a while, they split into two separate kingdoms, with Judah and Benjamin being in the one, and all the other tribes being in the other kingdom. So, being that they're headed back to Jerusalem, which was the capital city of the southern kingdom, the one where Judah and Benjamin, where those tribes resided, it makes sense that Judah and Benjamin would be mentioned, and not so much the other tribes. But also it mentions priests and Levites, so in a way, there were at least some people from the tribe of Levi that were included in all this. And I can't say, because it doesn't say outright in the verses here, whether those were the only tribes of people who returned from exile by this point, or if the others had just gone back to where they lived and were maybe kind of outside, or at least far removed from the jurisdiction of Jerusalem. Okay. I maybe should have done this part with the gatekeepers and stuff before I paused there. Oh, well. There's a note here in verse 14. So this part where it's saying 128 of his outstanding associates comes from, Greek source texts, whereas the Hebrew reads their instead of his. Now, the hymn in question, I imagine, would have been Amashai. Because obviously we're not going back that many generations to talk about current circumstances and the number of people that are residing in Jerusalem. But if it read their associates instead of his, it would almost imply more of like a continuation throughout generations. But anyway, that's it for the notes to look at. So, continuing with verse 19. A few more people who went to live in Jerusalem. From the gatekeepers, Akub, Talmon, and 172 of their associates who guarded the gates. I guess maybe that was the end of the list there. The other priests, Levites, and the rest of the Israelites lived wherever their family inheritance was located in any of the towns of Judah. The temple servants, however, whose leaders were Zihah and Gishpah, all lived on the hill of Ophel. The chief officer of the Levites in Jerusalem was Uzai, son of Bani, son of Hashabiah, son of Mattaniah, son of Micah, a descendant of Asaph, whose family served as singers at God's temple. Their daily responsibilities were carried out according to the terms of a royal command. Pethahiah, son of Meshezabel, a descendant of Zerah, son of Judah, was the royal advisor in all matters of public administration. As for the surrounding villages with their open fields, some of the people of Judah lived in Kiriath Arba with its settlements, Dibon with its settlements, and Jekabzeel with its villages. They also lived in Jeshua, Moladah, Peth-Pelet, Hazar Shual, Beersheba with its settlements, Ziklag, and Mechonah with its settlements. They also lived in En-Rimmon, Zorah, Jarmuth, Zanoah, and Adullam with their surrounding villages. They also lived in Lachish with its nearby fields, and Azekah with its surrounding villages. So the people of Judah were living all the way from Beersheba in the south to the valley of Hinnom. Some of the people of Benjamin lived at Geba, Michmash, Aijah, and Bethel with its settlements. They also lived in Anathoth, Nob, Ananiah, Hazor, Ramah, Gittaim, Hadid, Zeboim, Nebalat, Lod, Ono, and the Valley of Craftsmen. Some of the Levites who lived in Judah were sent to live with the tribe of Benjamin. And it kind of ends there. Again, lots of listing names of people and where groups of them lived and things like that. So, despite the very much reduced numbers of people compared to, how many they had while the kingdom of Judah and Benjamin was still a thing, they're still spread out pretty far across the land, is a big thing that I'm getting for this, or getting from this text. And in fact, maybe in part because of that, is why some of the Levites were sent to live with the tribe of Benjamin, because they might have been a little further away, and in order to properly be ministered to with various offerings and things like that, maybe it was just better to have Levites there. I don't know for sure if that's the reason, but I could definitely imagine that being a reason. Note there at the Valley of Craftsmen, I'm guessing this is the Hebrew name that's mentioned here, but it doesn't state that outright. Anyway, it could have been called Gi Harashim. I don't know if I even pronounced that right, but my guess is that was like the actual name of the place, and Valley of Craftsmen might be the translation thereof, or something like that. So, yeah, people actually like kind of settling back in now in Jerusalem and really throughout the land of Judah and Benjamin. Although I can't say I know for sure all these different cities, towns, villages, and whatnot, like if they were previously occupied by the respective tribes, or if that has also kind of condensed some due to the reduced number of residents compared to, before the kingdom got conquered. In any case, yeah, people settling back in, which you gotta imagine means that, homes were being built or rebuilt as needed to accommodate the people living there. So the one concern that Nehemiah had mentioned in a previous chapter after the wall was finished is presumably being worked on. So, yeah, that's really about all that's going on here. More settling in. So, yeah, that does it for my thoughts on Nehemiah chapter 11. Okay. And I guess that, well, that was definitely all that I had planned. And I would probably take longer than just another 15 minutes or so to do the next chapter, even if I wanted to, which I don't, because there are only 2 chapters left in Nehemiah. So I'll save that for next week. And then, of course, the following week we can hop right into Esther. Okay, so now, for sure, is the moment we gotta decide. Does anybody have any particular thoughts on what game they would like me to play for the remaining hour-ish of the stream? I was mostly considering either Slay the Spire or Hades. However, if circumstances presented themselves to where it would be a random choice, I was willing to also include some other options. Still, those Slay the Spire and Hades are the ones I wanted to highlight. So I will give it a moment for y'all to okay. I imagine we're thinking of doing a custom run in Slay the Spire, not just a standard one, right? That might also fit better with the time that we've got, because we could do a little bit of the setup before hitting the next ad break. Or maybe even make some progress before that. Anyway. Okay. Yeah. I'm definitely down for some Slay of the Spire. I was kind of wanting to, go on the roguelike side of things, since it's been a few weeks. I mean, last week I didn't really do any games because of the timing of things and fitting in extra Bible study and work, extra work that week. And I know the week before that, I did some Power Wash Simulator. Week before that, I think, was probably some Gems of War. So, yeah, it's been a little bit. And that's why Slay the Spire and Hades were kind of the main choices I was considering. Alrighty. Well, suppose I can just transition right on over to that, while we maybe figure out what we're wanting to do here. So, by the way, before I get into any runs, though, I just thought it might be worth mentioning, I think I got another relic that I didn't have before, just kind of, off screen. I don't know for sure if I had this spirit poop relic before. There was the one event with the little flame spirit things or whatever, or spirits gathered around a fire, and you offered something up to them, and in that case I chose a curse, and because I offered a curse, I got this, which seemingly all that did to affect the run was the scoring at the end. I got -1 point. So, anyway, all it does is nothing. Pretty much, yeah. Okay. I do still have some relics that I'm missing, though. In any case. Actually, Actually, maybe we should have a look at what the daily is before we go straight into a custom. Sealed deck, colorless cards, and big game hunter. Played with the defect. That's the daily climb. Or we do a custom thing. I mean, I could do a standard run, but I do still also have... I haven't managed to clear Act 4 with anybody but the defect so far. Yeah, it switched 12 minutes ago. Also, real quick, changing stream information on Twitch. Lay the spire. Done. Okay. Yeah. Alright. You're not really giving me any feedback on what I'm actually looking for feedback on, which is, which kind of run are we doing here? Because honestly, when it comes to this, not real partial. Gotta type things. Okay. That tells me custom run. And you're probably typing the modifiers that we're gonna enable. Now, while you're typing that, I know there are previous times when we've occasionally added some, like, kind of forced randomness into the combat itself. I personally would rather not do that right now. I'm okay with, you know, the particular modifiers and even, like, sort of random path choice. I'd rather not really influence the combat a whole lot. I think that really slows things down more than I would like. Ironclad or Silent? I've been playing a lot of Ironclad off-screen lately, so I think I would like to go with the Silent on this. Ascension 0, okay. Sealed deck. Colorless cards. Where is colorless cards? Colorless cards. Okay. So, since I'm playing as the Silent, red cards. And Praise Snecko. So we're not necessarily going to randomize which cards I play. We're just going to randomize the costs of them. Yeah, okay. So I've got Sealed Deck, Praise Snecko, red cards, and colorless cards, all enabled. You are a librarian for reference? What? By the joke of the sealed deck. Oh, okay. And I suppose we shall embark and initiate that. Okay, so I guess here is my sealed deck. Right? Second wind, acrobatics. Or I'm choosing among these, right? Choose wisely, only 10. Yeah. Right, yeah. Ooh, 4 poison and 2 weak to all enemies. Kind of a good one to have. So if I'm choosing these myself, I would like to go with that. I kind of like armaments, especially when upgraded. Okay, I wasn't sure. I hadn't heard any different, so I was moving ahead with what I knew or didn't know, and I figured that would also potentially fill the time until other information came about. Roll 1d6 5 times, where each d6 includes only a series of 6 next options. I need to get my dice if I'm rolling d6s. Hang on. Yeah. So, I had a feeling we'd be rolling some dice at some point, but I also didn't want to have, you know, Stormtrooper, Dice Tower out of the background the whole time. Alrighty. So, from the first 6 options, which includes Second Wind through Escape Plan. We got number 2. I don't know if y'all can really see that very well. Or maybe you'll just have to trust me with what I've rolled here. So, acrobatics. Alright. So now going from Searing Blow through Blood for Blood. Number 3. Which would give us 1, 2, 3 prepared. So far we got a lot of drawing cards and discarding cards. Okay. So, the next one I got was a 4, which 1, 2, 3, 4. That gives us disarm. 5, 6. So, okay, now we're going from Sucker Punch through Havoc. Yeah. This is not going to go very well if we don't get any damage cards here. Alright. Got another 2, which gives us Slice. Okay, at least that's something. And now we got Prepared through Fire Breathing. Okay, got a 5 there, which means Crippling Cloud. So I got that one anyway, yay. I wanted that one. Okay, but now we gotta figure out the other 5 cards. So, cycling back through, and I guess if it hits a card that we already got, we'll just re-roll. Or skip that and go... I feel like that's going to complicate things if I don't include the cards already chosen in the counts. I don't know. Anyway, well, we'll see what I roll and then go from there. Okay. So I got a 5. So 2, 3, 4. So I guess I get Escape Plan from this one. Yeah. Okay. So then Heel Hook. Anyway. Heel Hook through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, through Backstab, I guess. I got a 2 there, which means Havoc. Great. Okay, so we were going through Backstab there. Seeing red through 2, 3, 4. I guess seeing red up here through quick slash. Number 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is the second seeing red there. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, this is why I didn't want to do it this way. Because now it's like we're not ending all the way at the end of the list of cards. One out of 8 so far that's damage. Yeah, well, I mean, the poison is kind of damage. Select 2 damage cards. Okay. Yeah, that seems like a decent idea right about now. So we've got Dagger Spray. Backstab. Wild Strike. We got a quick slash there. Okay, ads are done. Considering I'm already lacking in damage cards, I don't think I want to choose one that exhausts on turn 1. I'm thinking I might go with... I'm considering Dagger Spray just because it's an all enemies sort of thing. But I also might want Sucker Punch. Because then I'd have 2 things that apply weak, and then maybe Heal Hook would be a decent idea. Honestly, I couldn't tell you whether that person was a bot for sure, or if they were just, you know, trying to get people to notice them. Anyway, I definitely want Sucker Punch, I would say. I think I might go with Dagger Spray, too. Yeah. Alright. Well. So there we have our starting deck. Alrighty. Path choice. I suppose I can just roll for this. And I got a 6. Which has us starting all the way to the right. Oh yeah, that's right, and the costs are all randomized. Okay. So... I mean, I could do acrobatics, because why not? What am I gonna discard? At least it's just discarding and not, like, you know, totally exhausting or anything like that. A 2-cost Seeing Red is literally pointless. It just exhausts itself and sets you back at what you started with. Enemy loses 2 strength. I mean, it is free, so... Might as well play it, I guess. On that one, that's going to do slightly more damage. I'm thinking Crippling Cloud. Now, if I play Havoc now, I gotta imagine it's just going to take these 2 cards from my discard pile and use one of those. Let's see what happens. Oh, right, it exhausted the card that was just played, which was probably Slice. Okay. There's turn 1. Well, yay for poison, at least. Ooh, hey, now we got Dagger Spray with 0 cost. And there we go. Gambler's Brew. Okay. And adding a card. I don't really have like a D4 or D8 available, so I don't really have a way of including the skip option really easily. Unless, I mean, I could just use a phone app for that kind of thing. As long as we're okay with that. Or I just roll a die for choices 1 through 3 and don't even include the skip option. Number 1 through 4 is how I would do that here. So if you really care much about doing it that way, that chose 3. Yeah, I'm definitely still okay with random card selection, just don't want randomness within combat so much. 4 damage for each skill in your hand, okay. Or choose a card to lose a probability chance. I suppose that would be the other, like, a different way of doing that. I think we'll just go ahead with what I've got. Yeah. I think I'll just go ahead and do it like I did there. Seems a bit easier to manage that way, in my opinion. Okay, I drew a card and it was not a skill, therefore no block for me. But I can at least play Seeing Red and gain another energy for this turn. Now, which cards do I want to play with the energy I have? I mean, I'm just dealing the 7 damage for that. Well, that would be 8 damage. You know what? I will just take the sure damage at this point. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 skills in my hand right now, so this is going to deal 20 damage. I think I'll take that. Only downside is I don't get to play a Crippling Cloud. Oh well, no big deal. Let's see what I get from acrobatics here. Discard disarm because I'm not going to be able to play it anyway. So now I could do sucker punch and then maybe dagger spray again. And only 4 damage taken the whole battle. Okay. Yeah, I'm still not sure I understand what you're trying to say with your method there, Seth. So again, think I'm just going to go with the randomizer app on my phone and... Oh. I might want to get rid of the option that says avoid repeats. Okay. Here we go, once again. Bloop. Number 1. It's like I have to hold it up at an angle for you to really see. Because if I just do that, it's like, screen brightness. Alright. Number 1. Impatience. More card drawing. Which, granted, at least it's another skill, so, more possible damage for flechettes. Purifier. Now I could remove a card from my deck, or not. This is easily decided with a d6. I have rolled a 3, which means, yes, remove a card. Now, I don't know how I feel about removing a random card, but... 1d12, yeah. Which I, again, don't have a d12. If it ever came to 20, I could grab a d20, but that's pretty much all I've got. d6 and d20 physically available. So... Number range from 1 to 12, just showing you... I don't think you can actually read that. But it does say between 1 to 12 underneath the main thing there. So, yeah. Number 3. We are getting rid of seeing red, apparently. It's not the worst one to get rid of, I guess. Okay, path choice. Rolled a 4 this time. I'm like, do y'all trust me that I'm gonna say what I've rolled honestly? Because otherwise I have to keep showing that. So even sends us to the right. Ooh, hello, 0 cost flechettes, heck yeah. So this is going to deal 16 damage. That almost seems excessive for the front slime. Almost. Now, I could play Dagger Spray first. Yeah. So, I'm thinking Dagger Spray... flechettes on the back slime. And you know what? I guess slice on that one now because it's gonna deal more damage out of the two. And I'll just go ahead and sucker punch and end that. Okay. Here we go. 1 out of 4 again. Alrighty. And... It's 2 this time. So, deadly poison. Alrighty. No choice to make here. Oof. But, another battle to deal with. Okay, since that affects all enemies, I definitely would like to play that. However, let me play this first. So 4 poison is obviously going to deal 4 damage. And then, or do I just deal 8 damage outright to all of them? Oh, okay, this is going to be 16. Now, if I added 8 damage from Dagger Spray, that would essentially guarantee the death of any of them. Okay, you know what? Here. And I have an attack in my hand, so impatience is pointless. Let's... Okay, I don't really get anything helpful from acrobatics, because they all cost some energy. Okie day. Havoc costs 0. That gave me a little bit of damage on one of them there. Let's go Sucker Punch on the front one to get rid of it, and then maybe Deadly Poison on this one. Oh, geez, 25 would be a lot of damage, but I have a 0-cost Crippling Cloud, so... First off, that damage is reduced. And second, there's poison damage. That will come into play, if it even needs to. Let's see what I get from acrobatics. Okay. Probably not going to end up playing Impatience. I'll just go ahead and discard that. Let's disarm this guy as well. Even less damage. Escape plan. Hey, cool, I gained 3 block. So at this point, I'm thinking, just to not be limited to a single card, I'll do Dagger Spray, and then see what Havoc gets me. That was Escape Plan, I think, that was played there. Yep. Okay. Well, can't do anything else now. Ouch. Okay. Be gone. 10 gold and a dexterity potion. And time to maybe add another card. Random choice 1 through 4. Here we go. Bloop. Man, this thing likes 3s. The results have gone 3, 1, 3, 2, 3 so far. Okay. Quick slash it is. I still think just the concept of terror there is absolutely ridiculous. 99 vulnerable? Like... What battle is going to last 99 turns? Alright. We have made it to a rest. Now, will I be resting or smithing? Odds is rest, evens is smith. Here we go. And it's a 6. So, smithing I am. But now, we've got 13 possibilities here. Okay. Random number 1 to 13. And you know what? Let me hit the thing in the corner here rather than the main thing there. See if that has any different effect. I don't know. Ignore 14. Well, one d20, ignore 14 plus. I suppose I could do that. I will need a moment to get me a d20 though, if I'm gonna do that. Also, I don't know if it changes your opinion on that if all of my d20s are spin downs rather than actual random d20s. But I'll get one anyway, I guess. I need some lights. But I don't want to turn on the room light because I feel like that might be excessively bright in the background. Okay. I have found myself a d20 with one being the classic Magic the Gathering. I guess that's technically a Planeswalker symbol. And then the 20 is actually like Spider-Man. Because somewhat recently Magic the Gathering had a Spider-Man set. Okay. Here we go. D20 roll. And I got a 4. So escape plan is getting upgraded. Which means, you know, if the chance hits, I gain 5 block instead of 3. Okay. Not like it's all that bad, but also, I'm about to face an elite and I'm already down to 32 health. Maybe this would have been better off with the Ironclad. You know what? I might... So I could play Crippling Cloud right now and do nothing else this turn. Well, I could still do Dagger Spray then, though. Or, let's see here. Or I do Sucker Punch and Quick Slash and Dagger Spray. That would be a total of what, like 16, 30, 23 damage? Man. What's with the bot comments today? Anyway. Alright. Well, I will probably end up playing Dagger Spray either way. Now the only thing is, if I do Crippling Cloud, I don't necessarily wake it up. But anything else that deals damage directly would wake it up. You know what? I gotta be kind of quick about it anyway. Quick Slash. Let's see what I draw. Ooh. Okay, so I'll play Sucker Punch next, and then play Havoc. See what develops from that. Discard Disarm, because it's not like I'm going to be able to play it this turn anyway. Prepared. Yeah, nope. Nothing doing from all that. Okay. And there's 18 damage coming my way now. Except... Hiya, you're now weak. For 3 turns. And poisoned. Disarm would also make it lose 2 strength. But let's see what I get from playing Quick Slash here. I got a 2-cost slice. No thanks on that, actually. Escape plan. That was not a skill. Alright, fine. Disarm. Ouch. Okay, 12 damage at least still isn't 20, so, eh. Alright, so this will deal 16 damage here. Quick Slash. Gave me a slice, no thanks. Especially because it costs 2. Dagger Spray. Impatience will do nothing, so meh. Oh, it's not going to attack this turn. Okay. That works out for me. Deadly Poison. And Sucker Punch to apply more weakness. And then... I guess Dagger Spray to deal 8 damage. Because Impatience won't do anything. Havoc will leave me with an extra energy hanging. Escape Plan would... I mean, it would draw me a card. But gaining the block from it would be pointless. Slice only deals 6 damage when I could do 8. So I guess I'll go with Dagger Spray. Oh, my throat just suddenly felt like really dry for a sec there. Okay, more poison, heck yes. Yeah. Even just that and quick slash would be enough. Ooh, I got a molten egg, which, I mean, who knows how long I'm actually going to be able to take advantage of that. Whenever you add an attack into your deck, upgrade it. I also got a flex potion, and I just realized if I do the D20 here, it could just be like, you know, 1 through 4, and then it'd basically be 5 sets of 4 on the D20. And I rolled a 10. So, 4, 8, 9, 10 gives me dagger throw here. 12 damage, draw a card, discard a card. Okay, not bad. Oh, alrighty. We'll go with the D6 for my path choice here. Yeah. Rolled a 4. Now I gotta figure out whether I'm resting or smithing. It's a 1. As proof. 1. So I'm resting. Okay. Still maybe kind of slightly in this thing. And now we get another relic. Dreamcatcher. Whenever you rest, you may add a card into your deck. If that's an option instead of resting, I'm probably not going to end up actually doing that. Very much. If at all. Okay, you know what? Well, it's in addition to resting. Okay. So if you rest and heal, you then also get a card choice option. I always forget that for some reason. So I think I'm actually gonna use the Gambler's Brew here. Well, yeah, just to use up a potion. Also, I don't like Slice being 3 energy. Also, not a big fan of Dagger Spray costing that much energy. The rest I'm at least willing to consider to some extent. So I'll discard those and hope they come up at a lesser cost later. Prepared would give me another option to look at. And then I get acrobatics from that, sure. Probably gonna lean more towards dealing damage than reducing theirs. As things stand. So let's discard disarm. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and get Crippling Cloud out of the way. Now I'll play acrobatics. Discard impatience. Okay, flechettes would deal 8 damage. So would quick slash, and I draw another card. So let's go ahead and do that. See, now flechettes could deal 12 damage. So let's do that. And escape plan costs 0. Let's see if I get any block. No, I don't. Might as well go with 7 damage for 1 energy instead of 6. Especially since it also applies more weakness. Okay, let's see here. Flechettes, 16 damage, win. Okay. Get some gold. Another card roll here. Got a 9. And I can tell it's a 9 because of the little... Well, it's between 10 and 8, but it also has a little dot down there at the bottom of it. So, I guess that gives me deep breath. Yeah. Because any multiple of 4 is going to be the skip option, and the next one after that is going to be the first card choice. So, deep breath. Alright. Another battle. What have we here? Well, acrobatics. Deep breath costing that much is an absolute waste. I'll discard that. Slice costing 0. Heck yeah. So dagger spray would deal 8 damage. Well, I'll take sucker punch for 1 energy and 7 damage. No, dagger throw would deal 12. And I think that's the most damage I'm getting out of this particular turn. The only other thing I would consider is maybe using deadly poison, but there's not going to be that much buildup of it of damage over time, so dagger throw. And it doesn't matter which one I discard because my turn is over now. Okay. Flechette costs 0. But dagger throw would let me potentially draw a card, but then I have to discard a card, and it might be an attack, or... Sorry, it might be another skill card that I would draw, and then I would be forced to... Anyway, Flechette's first. Then dagger throw. And I basically win anyway. I mean, not officially yet, but deadly poison, like, once the next turn starts, that's it. Never mind adding more poison. And just in case that wasn't good enough for ya, slice. Okay. Got 18 gold and another card choice. We really have been getting mostly green cards so far, haven't we? Okay, so I rolled a 6 this time. See, again, the dot placements. So, 4, 5, 6, that would be Catalyst, which doubles the enemy's poison. Or if upgraded, it triples. Interesting. If I was really running that poison heavy of a deck, that would be great. But I'm kind of not. I mean, there's definitely some poison in it. Alright. So I rolled a 4 there. Again. Showing evidence that time. I don't know why I decided to show it that time. Because I've kind of been having y'all trust me for a little bit. I guess I did show the past couple of D20 results too. Alright. Rester Smith, here we go. I got to 4, which means smithing. Now. I've got 14 possible cards to upgrade here. Anything above a 14 on the D20 is just going to be a reroll. That's a 17, re-rolling. And that's a 7. So I'm upgrading prepared. I've been upgrading, like, kind of the worst cards. But oh well. The dice have spoken. Alright, next battle. Oh, hello. Okay, well. Deadly poison. I don't want to kill the fungi beast first. Necessarily, because, I mean, when it dies, it makes me vulnerable. Yeah, I really don't want to be vulnerable. Okay, so deadly poison on the spike slime, I guess. I could do crippling cloud. But I could, no, sucker punch would make me use all my energy. So that seems kind of like a bad idea. I'm like, at this point, I'm thinking I could play Catalyst on the Spike Slime, and then play Prepared and see what I get. Or I just go with Crippling Cloud, apply more poison to both of them, and make both of... You know what? Crippling Cloud. Because now I'm taking a little less damage, too. Okay. Flechettes is in the mix. I have 3 skills. Okay. Oh, there's also Quick Slash here for free. Poison is so close to killing the Spike Slime. I guess I could just go for that. Alright. Let's see what I get from Havoc. Cool, I gained some block. And then... Deep breath, why not? And... Disarm. Oh, jeez. Yeah, you know what? So if I apply Deadly Poison, that'll put it up to 7. And then I play Catalyst, which would make it 14. It would die between turns. Deadly Poison. Catalyst. Bye-bye. Okay. Card options again. Rolling a d20. I got 14. So... Well... 12 is the nearest multiple of 4. That would put me at the skip. And then 2 more than that lands me at True Grit. Okay. I think that's my only reliable option for gaining block in the entire deck as things stand. Oh, yay! 2 of these guys. So much fun. Ooh, but Crippling Cloud right off the bat. And it costs 0. Quick Slash on the front one. Holy cow. I'm getting a bunch of stuff that costs 0. Definitely not arguing with it. Okay, so now I guess I'll use Catalyst on the front one. Oh, I could have done Deadly Poison on it first. Dang it. Whoopsie. Oh well. Dagger throw on the back one, because that's the one that's about to deal damage. I'll discard Deadly Poison, or whatever. I don't think it even matters that much. Dagger Spray! And yeah, that went exceptionally well. Okay. Card choice again, rolling a d20. 14 again? Let me not do this. I mean, set up what? Put a card from your hand on top of your draw pile. It costs 0 until played, but wouldn't that be nullified by the Snecko Eye? I'm actually not entirely sure if it would be. Before I even read what card it was, I was considering re-rolling just to not get the same exact number again. And the re-roll ended me on a 4. Which means I take nothing. So if we're good with my reason for re-rolling, then that's what'll happen. I will take no cards. And I'm realizing stream's coming to a close somewhat soon. I should just kind of move things along. Okay, rolling d6. I rolled a 6, so I'm smithing again. Okay. D20, ignoring anything over 14. That's a 13, which means Catalyst is getting upgraded. Proceed. Slime time. Oh boy. Well, I might as well go ahead and use my Dexterity Potion. Just 'cause... why not right now? Deadly Poison to start things off. Sure, why not? Making it lose 2 strength doesn't seem like it's very... like that's a really good idea right now. Let's see what I get from Prepared Plus. I'll discard Impatience and Disarm, since I'm not planning on using that anyway. Gaining block from Escape Plan wouldn't really do much for me. I think I'll just go ahead and use Quick Slash. Jeez. Why do they have to make Catalyst cost 3 energy this time? Okay. That still exhausts a random card, because it's the basic version and not the upgraded one. Dang it. Crippling Cloud would be so much more helpful if they were split. This seems like not a terrible time. I was going to say it seems like not a terrible time to use a flex potion, but then again, if I do too much damage right now, it'll split, and the ones it spawns would still probably have a decent amount of health left. So, yeah. Sorry. Bit tired from being up early, you know. I can't play flechettes anymore. Guess I'll do quick slash and slice. Now, if I played True Grid, I'd just have to hope it doesn't exhaust. I mean, honestly, there's like a 3/4 chance of it exhausting something I kind of want. So, let's maybe not do that, especially since I don't need block this turn. Yeah, I just kind of had that thought as I was wrapping up that turn. Oh, geez, 35. I am not going to survive 35 damage. Not even slightly. Let's see what I get from acrobatics. And I will discard the slimed card here, because why not? I can exhaust that for free, yippee. Yeah. I think I die here. Make him split. How? Stuff costs too much. Ooh, wait, what's in my... Oh. Pfft. I was like, wait, if there's something good in my draw pile. Well... Might as well use the flex potion, because why not? Makes Sucker Punch deal 12 damage. That's... Well... Yeah, Deep Breath is kind of my only hope of any kind in this situation. But even at that, the card I draw would have to cost 1 energy or less. And it's a slimed that costs 2. Womp womp. Well, so much for that. I mean, decent timing for wrapping up the stream, though, I guess. Because, yeah, starting another run would just... Yeah, no. I would get hardly anywhere in it. Okay. So, yeah. I guess that'll, wrap things up for tonight. I was actually, you know what? I was considering ever so slightly just being like, hey, we got a few minutes. Let's add a little random exercise to the mix. I don't know. But I have channel points for that. You know what? Who cares? I make my own decisions. I am not a slave to the channel points or anything like that. We're going to do some random exercise anyway. Let's see what I get here. Bloop. It's 2, which means... Okay, well, if you're redeeming it anyway. Uh, we're saying 3 then. All right. Hopefully it won't take too long. Alrighty, gotta find my exercise list again. Do. Okay. So, exercise number 2 is sit-ups. Some multiple of 2. Minimum 8. Probably only 8 to save time. Okay, so that's the first thing. Sit-ups with a result of 8, basically. Oh, yay. Burpees. I really should replace. I've been considering replacing that with maybe like. I think I even had it as invisible chair at one point. I've got a little space there in the wall to maybe do that. The reason I replaced the invisible chair from my list before was because it was just an awkward angle and or distance from the camera before. Okay, well, anyway, it's burpees. 3 is the multiplier. Okay, well, I rolled another 3, so I guess that's 9 of those. And then, last but not least, I rolled a 3, which is squats. Oh, that'll be fantastic after the burpees. Well, 1 is kind of pointless. I'm not going to do sets of 1. So let's make it 5. Okay. So, and I roll. So, 30 squats as well. Great. Maybe I'd be better off doing the burpees first, then the sit-ups, and then the squats. Or reverse the burpees and squats, either way. Give myself a slight break in between the leg exercises. Okay. Either way, this looks like a situation to roll out the mat here. Well, that would just be for the sit-ups, I guess. The burpees and squats, I don't really need that for. Okay. Burpees first, I guess. Alrighty. Ugh. Feel like I might want to loosen up a little bit. Oh well. Yep. 1. Yep. 2. 3. 4. 5. My pants are a little loose. Kind of slipping down on me. 6. 7. Getting there. 8. And one more. 9. Okay. So there's that. Now I realize ads are about to kick in. I guess I'll wait to do more until after those are done. Oh man. Meanwhile, I can set this up for the sit-ups. Yeah. Although, I am thinking, now that I think about it, there is sort of an aspect of doing the burpees like that, especially when you're like kicking your legs out and bringing them back in, if you're doing it like the right way, that kind of also engages your core a bit, which would not help me with doing the sit-ups. Fortunately, there aren't that many. But that's going to be my excuse if I'm feeling sore after only 8 sit-ups. Anyway, okay. Here we go. Do. I feel like my chair's kind of blocking the view a little bit. Okay. Sit-ups. Here we go. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Yeah. Part of the reason I'm sticking to the minimums on these is because of the stream time and not wanting to go too much over that. Well, the mat being here isn't exactly an issue for the squats, so I'll just go ahead and get to those to wrap things up. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, yeah. While I'm doing this, if anybody has suggestions for someone to raid on Twitch or anything like that, now's a good time to let me know, because we will, after I finish this, we're wrapping it up for the stream tonight. I think I'm at 25 now. 27, 28, 29, 30. May have been an extra one in there somewhere. Whatever, no big deal. I'm pretty sure I at least didn't shortchange it. Okay. All right. With no particular input from anyone on where to possibly raid, I would just look at whoever I'm following and choose somebody from there. Got a couple people playing Arc Raiders. Neo 3. Lockdown protocol. Why does that sound kind of familiar? Anyway. Man. There's quite a few people I follow who are currently live on Twitch. Okay. Don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm like, ooh, wait, I'm curious about lockdown protocol, but maybe that's what's bringing me to want to raid that person. Also, the fact that they have mentioned, quote, all the cool peeps in their stream title, considering I always start off saying, what's up, cool people? I don't know. Feel like it's a fitting interaction. Anyway, okay. So, that's going to do it for me tonight. Hope you're all doing well. Tomorrow, by the way, is going to be continuing Borderlands 4 stuff. Trying to think of where we left it off. Basically, we're trying to track down Callus and stop her plans, unsurprisingly. That's kind of what's been going on broadly for a little while. Anywho, next Thursday, we'll be wrapping up Nehemiah in the Bible study. Probably with it being the first week of the month. I'll be playing Gems of War after that. And of course, that Friday, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow, will be more attempted progress in Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC. So, there's your upcoming schedule from me. So, hope to see you soon for one of those streams or whatever coming up soon. But, yeah, whatever ends up happening, until I see y'all again, stay cool, everybody.